Hey, Lord Henry, welcome. Welcome, everyone, to today's live stream, episode number 28 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Honor Mode gameplay series. I'm Commander Jorval, and I want to thank you for coming along on our journey today. So, on some admin notes, on, let's see, I think it was Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday of this week, Larian released Hotfix 28. We expect that there's going to be a few of these hotfixes coming out here over the coming weeks because of the massive impact that patch 7 and specifically the mod manager has had on the game. Hotfix 28 is mainly focused on the mod manager. There are some other things that they brought into the game. Specifically, they did attempt, and this seems to be the arms race that always happens with the gaming community and developers. They attempted once again to fix a vendor exploit where you could get unlimited gold from vendors. They did patch out one of them in this hotfix. There are several others. I don't use anything like that. I don't do anything. For me, that's just a bridge too far. But I don't say that anybody else or shouldn't do it or criticize other people for doing it. I just don't. So I haven't highlighted those or anything like that in my channel, and you won't see me highlight any of those things, but Larian has fixed 3 or 4 of these throughout the various patches, and they've done another one today, and that is kind of it for the most part. There are some other blockers and crashes that they fixed, but for the most part it was focused on the mod manager, and like I say, expect to see a few more of those hot fixes in the coming weeks as we get more and more time used inside the mod manager and Larian gets more feedback on it to know what needs to be changed. So, welcome, customer. Hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I'm doing okay. Doing okay. Just getting ready for winter here. Winter, quote unquote, where I live. So, on another admin note, just a channel update. Here in the coming weeks, I'm going to be turning on channel memberships. I've been going through some workshops with our partner, or YouTube partner manager for my channel, and right now there's just an opportunity to give some of my people who want to support the channel a public facing way of recognizing that. Again, like always, I don't ask for any donations, I don't ask for any likes or subscriptions. I'm not going to ask anybody for to join a membership. But for those people that want to, it is there. And over the next few weeks, like I said, I'm going to be rolling that out. You're going to see a community post go up about it. And it's also going to ask for some opinions from y'all. And then there's also going to be threads on social media explaining the rollout a little better. Basically what it is during the live stream, you always have an option to help support the channel, and that is down in the chat window. There's an icon down there that allows you to do that. Once memberships go live, there will be an additional selection there, so when you click on it, you will have the option to become a channel member. And the membership is very much like a Patreon type of thing. It's you have a recurring monthly subscription, and for that there's going to be a list of perks that come along with it. Now, my channel is not large enough where I'm going to have multiple membership tiers and all of that sort of stuff, because some of the things that are popular among memberships I don't do right now, such as releasing short form videos and that sort of stuff. But I may expand on that in the future. So right now there's just going to be one, almost the smallest monetary amount I can set up in the system for channel memberships to be able to get some recognition. And what that's going to entail is on the chatting and countdown timer screen, I'm going to have a list of all of my channel members that's given up there, again expressing my personal thanks to all of them. And then at the end of videos, I will flash up that another screen showing those members as well. So you get public recognition on the live streams and obviously in the VODs of your membership status if you choose to engage in that. Again, like I've said earlier, I am not ever going to ask for those things. If people want to support the channel, this is going to give them an additional way to do it. I've been asked about it several times. And while I certainly appreciate all of that, again, it's your choice. It is not mine to push that on you, and I never will. So pay attention here in the upcoming weeks as I start to roll that out, and hopefully we'll get to see it implemented here sometime in the next month or so. I think that's it on admin notes. So on a recap, at the end of last week's episode, we had finished up basically clearing out all of the Ketheric Thorm relatives inside Reithwin Town. We had dealt with Garangoth and the Tollhouse. We had dealt with Malice in the House of Healing, and why can I never remember his name? The boss inside the Waning Moon. And I said I was going off stream to do a couple of things, and let's go ahead and jump in here and we'll kind of look at that real quick, because I do have a list of stuff that we want to take care of this morning, kind of some housekeeping stuff that I wanted to show you before we get into finishing up a couple of side quests. Okay, so here we are inside the House of Healing. Now, like I said I was going to do last week, I've gone through and I've looted almost everything that's out here. So I looted the Waning Moon, I looted the House of Healing and the Tollhouse, and I've filled up garbage bags with some items. Cleared out my inventory of all of those things and kind of, cinched everything up, so to speak. But now we're going to go through some explorations out here that I did not want to do off stream. The stuff that I looked at off stream is all easy to find. There's no hidden chests, there's no hidden things or stuff like that. There are some items, though, that I did want to not just pick up without showing to you. So first we're going to head back here to the painted chest that's back here in the room behind the House of Healing.
What's in here?
And in here you get the Poisoner's Gloves. So whenever you deal poison damage, the target needs to succeed a Constitution saving throw or become poisoned. Now, poison damage is fairly rare in the game. However, we do have some opportunities for it, and that's specifically with Karlach with Broodmother's Revenge. We haven't used this very much on her simply because it doesn't apply to throwing damage. But, well, I need to verify that because, again, I tested it very briefly, and I might have only tested the opening round of combat as opposed to subsequent rounds. So I may swap these gloves out and just test it here. Right now, what we're utilizing is the gloves that inflict nauseous fumes when you do acid damage. Acid damage does apply on her throwing attacks. So what we'll do is we'll throw this on here. We'll test out Broodmother's Revenge by eating a raspberry during combat and see if these do inflict poison damage or not, and we'll kind of go from there. But that's what they do. Whenever you deal poison damage, they're going to need to pass a Constitution saving throw or become poisoned. And poisoned is just poison damage over time, is basically what it is. So the next thing that we're going to do is kind of explore the front area here of the House of Healing, because there are two encounters up here that we want to have that we skipped by coming in the back door. Okay. Now, in here in this room, all sorts of trash to pick up. All right, all sorts. And I'm not going to search it today, but we are going to head up this ladder here. Okay, and this gets you up onto the upper floor / roof of the House of Healing. And once everybody gets up here, okay, we'll break our group and we'll take Karlach. So, as you're looking around out here, you're going to notice a few things on the roof, and the first is over here. Okay, so we do have a couple of skeletons here, and we have a book of poetry.
Let's see.
So the book of poetry is just a kind of a romantic allusion to the two skeletons here who are obviously, you know, in an embrace here. They've died where they ended up here on the roof. So something you can pick up there, and then we will head back inside, head down here to this end. And then here's a potion of invisibility and a ball. There's also a stuffed bear that you can pick up. So nothing extraordinary, again, but special things that are kind of hidden around here, so to speak. And now we'll make our way down here. Now there's an elevator here. You can jump onto this, click the button, it will take you down. This button will recall the elevator back up. In honor mode, you don't like elevators. That's just how it is. There's a locked library and records room here.
Keep your distance, darling. Moving.
And you don't have to lockpick this. I don't have a problem doing it with the Starian. And hey, Rudy, welcome to the stream. Sorry I missed you coming in. Thanks for being here. You can exit out onto the roof and just walk in through any of the side windows that are broken out in here. We're going to actually stick with a Starian for this because there's a few things in here. So, entering into the room here, there's a portrait over here you can pick up. This one, you can't pick it up. I'm not entirely sure what's different about it. And then you can search the various bookshelves. And we're just going to search these together here real quick. And here's a hospital library key. And this is the key that opens that door that we just came through. So again, you can exit out here, exit out on the roof, come in here, pick up the key, and that will unlock that door there. Crown of Madness, good spell to have. Old person, always good.
Let's go.
And here we have a gilded chest. These chests are going to be locked.
Oh, for a skeleton key.
Various potions. Gold, all useful stuff to take. Protection from energy is situationally useful. Especially if you know you're going to run into a specific type before you go into the encounter. Or as a trap or something like that. Empiric Touch is really good necrotic spell. And another gilded chest. Crafting ingredients. one more set here. Bookshelves. And then you have the center area. You can do the same thing in here. Skeleton key. Yeah, Astarion wishes he had a skeleton key. In tabletop, there's an item, and it was actually in, interestingly enough, it was also in Skyrim. There's an item in tabletop, which is a magical item called a skeleton key. A skeleton key is a magical item that is able to do various things, I guess, depending upon what your DM wants it to do. There are some templates for what the skeleton keys do. But the original skeleton key in Forgotten Realms was a key that would magically change to fit and unlock any lock. So it was basically a free way to bypass the sleight of hand check on any lock. That is arguably a little bit overpowered, but it was part of, well, I'm trying to remember if it was in the Dice Master set or where it was in tabletop. But then the skeleton key normally is just a set of enchanted tools that, like I say, your DM can give you advantage on the sleight of hand check, or can never break, so that you can use them over and over again, even if you fail the check. So they can do a bunch of different things, depending upon what the DM wants you to do. So now we're going to make our way out here onto the roof, and that's because we have some other things down here. Some more crafting ingredients, so don't forget to pick any of this up. We'll head back in. Head back out. Around the back. And now you're familiar with where we are. This is the set of routes to climb up here and around. Okay. Can't remember if there's anything else or if that's it. I think that's it. Okay, so let me just quickly look around. Been a while since I played this particular part, so I just want to make sure. Yes, I believe that's it. Okay, so I'm gonna bring everybody back out here.
What's cooking?
And we're gonna head back down
I've got a
this
long road
ladder.
ahead. Best be on my way.
Back down to the first floor. Or the ground floor. And like I said earlier, there are two encounters that we want to do here. So, the first thing I'm going to show you is over here around the corner. You have a dead body here. And if you search it, you find the True Love's Embrace. Now, this is the companion ring. To True Love's Caress. So these two rings work in concert with each other. The True Love's Caress is the receiving end of Warding Bond. True Love's Embrace is the sending ring of Warding Bond. So you put these rings on two separate characters. The one who's wearing True Love's Embrace is going to be able to cast Warding Bond once per long rest on whoever is wearing the other ring. Okay, Warding Bond can be very, very useful, especially in honor mode. If you're choosing this to utilize a camp follower or somebody like that as the one casting it. And we'll kind of explore this a little bit more as we go. Hey, Depote guy, you started an honor mode run. That's awesome. Thanks for being here, by the way, onto the stream. I certainly appreciate it. And yeah, honor mode runs are great. They're a lot of fun. You can get a lot of interesting and useful information throughout the series if you go back and look through some of the VODs. So feel free, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So up here at the top is Sister Cinda. Now, Sister Cinda, you can have a conversation with. And you can pass a persuasion check to kind of get access to the back room. We don't need to do any of that. We've already taken care of all of that. And I honestly can't remember if Sister Cinda gives any experience, so we're just gonna check it and see.
Oh, the doctor is absent today. Come back another time.
Okay, so yeah, since we've already been in the back, that conversation is over with. We're not going to get an opportunity to have the persuasion check. What it does is basically allows you to enter into the room from this direction, through the doors. We didn't need to do that. So we're going to go ahead and have a combat with Sister Cinda here, just because we can. I'm attacking with advantage.
Pick to fight. The consequences are hardly surprising.
She was trying to move? Interesting. What is happening here?
Still breathing, despite everything.
Got it.
That was a weird set of combat there. Sister Cinda has a key that's going to get you into that back room. If you haven't passed the persuasion check, it's going to be on her body here. There are some other things that you can loot out here. There's a hospital library key, and this is the same key that we looted from upstairs that will get you into that back room back there. And she picked that up anyway. Weird. Okay, so again, there's various stuff out here that you can loot. Whole bunch of garbage that we are certainly going to come back and pick up, but I will do that off stream
With haste.
today. So what we're going to do is head out this doorway over here. You can see we have a vendor show up on our mini-map. Okay, and that's Sister Lidwin here.
I want to have a word.
The doctor's found Oblivion. Well, no time to mourn. I'll fix this without him.
That's Arabella's father. Or was Arabella's father.
Not dead. Merely medicated. To ease the pain.
Okay, I'm gonna go for the deception check here.
Yes. Yes. I knew these hands would not fail me. The patient is sure to recover.
Okay, so now we're gonna purchase some supplies.
Not much left now, but you're welcome to look.
And yes, Depokai, that elevator is notorious in honor mode runs. You'll be seeing a little bit later as we get there how I'm going to bypass that elevator. There are two of them that are really, really bad in there. One you can bypass, one you cannot. But we'll be showing how to bypass one of those elevators, the more notorious of the two, once we get there. But yeah, sorry that happened. It's a little difficult to deal with sometimes. So Sister Lidwin here is, as a vendor, is normally going to sell some pretty good potions, and one of them is Carabasan's poison. Now, Carabasan's poison is incredibly powerful in that it's a weapon coating, which means you can coat ranged weapons with it. And once you hit a target, they must succeed a Constitution saving throw or become paralyzed and poisoned. Now, paralyzed means that all of your attacks have advantage and all of your hits are automatic critical hits. So Carabasan's poison is incredibly useful to stock up on. It's somewhat expensive in picking it up here, but it's well worth it to stock up on these. I've picked up in looting, there have been some Carabasan's gifts laying around. But Carabasan's poison as a weapon coating is extraordinarily useful. What I'm going to do off stream is I'm going to come back, I'm going to up her attitude to 100. I am going to buy potions from her, then I'm going to level up, refresh her inventory, and buy some more. And I'm going to get stocked up in here because there are, like I say, some incredibly useful potions to have and weapon coatings in here to have. Malice is incredibly useful with them being blinded. That means that they have disadvantage on all their attacks and you have advantage on all of yours. The purple worm toxin, again, a weapon coating that deals 1d10 poison damage. You tack that in with some of the other items we picked up, and now they get poisoned over time as well. So some really useful stuff in here that we want to take advantage of. I'm not going to buy anything now. Like I say, I'm going to come back and do all of that off stream.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to tend to my patient.
So now we have Chimera and Locke here.
The corpse does not respond. The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Husband to Chimera, father to Arabella. Surgeon, sisters. Zevlon, betrayed. Ran. Shelter.
The corpse remains silent. It does not know.
Eldurel.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Okay, and that updated the quest to find Arabella's parents. So we need to talk to Arabella about that and find Zevlor. So we know that he wasn't with the other tieflings. We need to find out if he's alive and if so, where he is. The Wake Up Art Cullugh quest we advanced when we had Malice kill himself last time when we found the loot. Okay, so again, inside this room here, loads of garbage to pick up. And we are going to go do that.
What now?
There's nothing in particular
Certainly.
in the chest, just some crafting supplies and that sort of stuff that are in here. So nothing in particular that we need to deal with now. So now we're going to head to the Tollhouse. And again, I've looted all of the floors of the Tollhouse. But there are some things that we need to explore. We'll come up here, climb the roots. And first, we do remember this room here. Okay. Now, I don't... Yeah, we'll actually look through these here. Because in here you get the Iron Vine Shield. So this is a typical druid weapon. It would be a shield that's non-metallic, which in tabletop would matter to the druid class, but doesn't matter in the game here. However, when the wielders hold in a weapon empowered with shillelagh, and when they are hit by a melee attack, the attacker takes 3 piercing damage. So this is a retribution type of shield, where if you've used the shillelagh cantrip to take any weapon and make it magical, so that it deals 1d8 bludgeoning damage and uses the wisdom ability modifier, which is what you would have from a druid. If you're using that on your weapon, now whenever somebody hits you, they're going to take 3 piercing damage from the shield. So if you're going for that quintessential, typical druid build, it's a good shield to have. It's just not something, or in the early game, it's a good shield to have. Not something that I'm going to be focused on here for the most part. And again, some things in here that I'm going to come back and loot off stream. There are a few paintings, some bookshelves, and that sort of stuff. What we're going to do, though, is bring my bard in here.
These boots have seen everything.
I'm going to cast Featherfall. And Astarion is going to jump through the hole in the roof here. You can see the statue that made its way in here when we toppled it and broke the floor. Some arrows, and these things I'm going to loot while I'm here, just so I don't have to come back here. Gonna find some clothing. And now the button on the wall here is no longer based on a perception check. This was a problem. We saw this in one of my past live streams, where if you fail the perception check here and you can't press the button, you can't find the button to press it, you have to find a different way to get out of this room. And normally that's fast traveling out of here. You fast travel out to the Reithwin Town waypoint and then walk yourself back. They have since changed it, and I didn't see it in patch notes anywhere, but they have obviously changed it so that you no longer need a perception check to find that button. It's just now found and pressable all the time. When you click it, it opens up this back wall here, and
Still breathing,
I
despite
believe
everything.
Nope, I can't.
What a day.
Maybe it's line of
Let's
sight.
be quick.
Have a lot on my mind. And, well, in it.
Nope.
Watch
It's
your
not
back.
going to be able to cast it from up there. And the jump back up here, you can't see the floor up there to jump back up
Watch
to
the
it.
shadows.
So I'm going to jump back in from out here. And this door, you can't access
The
from
door's
this
blocked
side
on the other side.
because it is blocked from the inside here. Okay, so we're gonna head back up. Group everybody back up. And there's a perception check here for this room.
Seized inventory.
The perception check just lets you know that there's a plaque here. You can always read it, you don't need to pass it. It kind of lets you know that there's a clue here. Now, the shadow cursed vines have medium toughness, so you need to deal at least 22 damage to them to damage them at all. They have a lot of hit points, and they're not vulnerable to anything. So it's pretty hard to deal enough damage to them to knock them completely out. And as such, we're going to go up to the roof, because there are a couple of things up here on the roof that we want to do. Okay, so the first... There it is. Is here. They have a backpack. It's going to have some thieves' tools and thieves' supplies. And the Tollhouse basement key. Okay. This is going to be important. We're going to be going to look at this here in a little bit. And now I need to... free up inventory on him and do the rest of the
I'd love
searching
to,
with
thanks.
Karlach. But first,
My
we're going to
faith
take
protects
Shadowheart. Equip the perception shield. Cast guidance. I'm going to walk over here.
I must keep going.
There's the perception check for the collapsed floorboards. Okay, now with the collapsed floorboards, you just make an attack. The rendering on these is mostly broken. I'll tell you that right now.
Making me sweat. On my way.
Mind, never quiet.
Oh, I could go for a good meal. If you insist.
So again, finding that magical sweet spot in here. Where you can jump down. There it is.
1, 2.
And now you end up in this room behind the shadow cursed vines. And again, we'll search in here. There's a heavy chest. Okay, this is going to be locked, so I'm just going to pick it up. Okay, a great axe +1. Scroll of color spray is meh. And I don't believe there's anything else in any of the,
Hello
any
in
of the
there.
vases or anything. So now from this room, again, I don't think Featherfall's going to reach
What
it,
to
but
do?
I'm going to try. I thought it actually did in one of these rooms.
Need to find a way forward.
Oh, it did. Okay. I knew there was one of them where it reached. And then you can jump down out of here. Okay.
All right.
We'll make our way back upstairs because there's still a couple of things we want to do upstairs. Okay, and one of them is over here.
Here goes.
You'll find the clerk's key in the desks that are around here, over here, and that will open up this set of doors here. No, this set of doors. And in here you have another opulent chest. Jeez, come on. So we'll get a starry in to come over here and lockpick that.
Careful, I might.
But before I do that, I want to just look and see. Just make sure I'm not missing anything on those. It's a big roof. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything else. Okay.
I can do better. I must.
This barrel here real quick.
Should mind my step.
How delicious.
Okay, so we'll get a starry in to lockpick the opulent chest. And in here, you're going to find the Gloves of Battle Mage's Power. Now, these are kind of the reverse of what the Helmet of Arcane Acuity... it's not the reverse. They go hand in hand with what the Helm of Arcane Acuity does. So, when the weapon attack roll inflicts a condition, the wielder gains Arcane Acuity. We've looked at Arcane Acuity before. It gives you a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and DC for each remaining turn. So this gives you 1 turn of Arcane Acuity. The Helm of Arcane Acuity, which I believe I put in my camp in the off-stream. Well, no, maybe I still got it. Yeah, I do have it. When you deal damage with a weapon attack, you gain Arcane Acuity for 2 turns. So if we're using something that gives you, or that inflicts a condition, then we're going to proc 3 turns of Arcane Acuity right off the bat. We're going to get 2 turns from the helmet and 1 turn from the gloves. And that gives us a +3 bonus to our spell save DC and our spell attack rolls. That can be incredibly useful in certain encounters to be able to land a hold monster spell, a hold person spell, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, things like that. So you're going to see us go into certain fights and utilizing the Helmet of Arcane Acuity and the Gloves of Battle Mage's Power in place of the Diadem of Synergy and the Flawed Helldust Gloves, just to be able to get us a better chance to debilitate a particular enemy in a fight. And what we can do is we can use weapon actions. So for instance, Feint, or Flourish here. Flourish is going to throw an enemy off balance. That can be done as a bonus action. So then we can utilize Flourish, impart the off-balance condition, gain a +3 to our spell DC, and then try and land Tasha's Hideous Laughter with our action. So on our first turn, we can have a very, very good chance to debilitate or remove a target from the fight entirely. And that's where those two items synergize really, really well with each other. So we're going to keep that in mind as we move forward. It's a great item to have. Don't miss out on it. And I need to give up. Okay.
On my way.
And then need to look around because I can never remember. Where it is. Is it here? Yes, it's here. So inside this room, you have an opulent chest. We've already searched it. There's nothing in particular that's in it. However, there's a safe door here. And I need to look. I have it in my notes. Okay, I don't have it. Okay, but here on the wall is this thing that says, please read. You need a perception check. To pass a perception check to find this on the wall. When you click on it, it lets you know that somebody's hiding from Garangoth, and it has a link to her personal coffers. Okay, and it says the combination to the safe is written in bold handwriting before, so now when you go click on the safe door,
The heavy door grinds open. The combination worked.
the combination opens the door. Now, inside, there's a skeleton.
The skeletal remains of the hopeful survivor still waiting to be rescued. Their desperate refuge now their everlasting tomb.
Well, well, well.
Okay, and then here we have a pouch we can search with a supply pack. And there's some other trash in here that you can pick up. Okay, and then that reference that was made to Garangoth's coffers. Now, for that, we need to find the Tollhouse basement, and I believe it's over here on this side. Yes. So we're going to head out here. So we should make our way down on the roots over here, head out that back door.
While I'm at it,
And make our way down here. And these heavy oak doors, which are locked,
yeah?
are going to need the basement key that we looted from the roof. Okay. So now, again in here, a bunch of garbage that we can loot. I will come back and loot this again off stream for the most part.
Let's get on with it.
Shadow Heart. There's the perception check.
What's that?
Dance.
Find the button on the wall that opens this back area here. And in here you have Garangoth's logbook, where she talks about how she's basically stealing from the Tollhouse, the tax revenue, and she sees it as her just due. And then we have a gilded chest. Expeditious retreat, not very useful in this game with as much movement speed as you have. There's a soul coin, which for Karlach is very, very good. We have some paintings, don't forget to pick up all of those. Some of them with their backs turned to you, so don't miss those. Okay, and then one last thing you have here is a set of roots. And it leads you down into this underground area. So we do have some crafting supplies. None of the caskets have anything in them. There are some piles of bones scattered around. Over here in the corner you have like a little sleeping area, it looks like. And again, I'm just looting everything so I don't have to come back to this particular room since it's more of a pain to get to. Okay, more crafting supplies over here. And then we have a skeleton that has the Mason's Journal. If you read the Mason's Journal, you learn about the excavation of what they're trying to do. Basically, a secret tunnel leading from the Tollhouse out of here is a way for Garangoth to get her ill-gotten loot out of the Tollhouse without raising any suspicions. He was never paid for the work and died down here as a result of it. And nothing else down here. Now we can head back up. And again, I will come back and loot all of the garbage in this upper room since it's only going through one door, basically, to get to it. Okay, and that clears out the Tollhouse. So the last of the three locations is the Waning Moon. And there's only one thing to do in the Waning Moon. Did I not ever cast Speak with the Dead on Karnas? Well, that's a shame.
The corpse seems willing to speak, but not to its killer.
Okay, well, I was shapeshifted when I killed him. Let's pause after you come out of shapeshift.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Always many wishes. Hers the loudest.
The corpse remains silent. It does not know.
Moonrise. lantern. Our Lady's light. Shepherding the faithful. Carrying Our Lady's light.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Okay, so let's make our way around the corner over here to the waning moon. And the only thing to do in here is something that Lord Henry mentioned last time. And again, this is why I was kind of saving it for this part where we go through all of these locations and pick things up. But if you come around the backside of the bar, here underneath the bar you have the rat
Don't be
bag.
shy.
Okay, the rat bat. The +2 acid damage is coming from the ring, so that's not part of it. Attack rolls against beasts have advantage. It's a +1 two-handed great club. So it's doing 1d8 +6 for me. For Karlach anyway. But again, attack rolls against beasts have advantage. Again, incredibly useful to have advantage on attack rolls. However, we can get advantage so many different ways that it's not something I really focus on in my playthroughs.
No one stopped me yet.
And that pretty much finishes up this side of the River Chionthar. Now, the alchemical stash we've already picked up, I believe. We've already had the encounter here.
How much farther can I go?
But we already found this stash, didn't we? Or did we not? Yeah, we already... Oh, we didn't open it up. So this stash was found because of reading the research notes in the Waning Moon.
Let's see what this does.
If you click on the dirt mound, if you haven't read the research notes, you have to pass a perception check, and it's a pretty high perception check to find it. But here you can click on it and you can find the crafting ingredients, including 4 corpse roses, which are needed for Thizibald's brewed up belly glummer, and the record of shipment. And one thing that we also need to do is Karlach needs to drop that chest. Okay, so she probably doesn't have enough space down here to drop it.
What's the story?
Someone there.
Now we'll get a Starian to lockpick it.
Should be easy.
And in here you're going to find Fireheart. So again, the third piece, I believe, or maybe fourth piece, of the heat build set that we have. Whenever you take fire damage dealt by another creature, you gain 2 turns of heat. So in some fights, you can gain heat really, really fast. Unfortunately, in those fights, the enemies tend to be immune to heat, or fire damage. So when you take fire damage from somebody else, they tend to be immune to it in a lot of situations. But the Fireheart is another one of those where is Karlach in that list? That was weird. But it's another one of those heat build items that if you're looking to go that way, that's another part of it. So now we're going to go do a couple of things, and we're going to venture over back to the east side here, and we're going to start getting into a fight that I know a lot of you have been waiting for. So the first thing that we're going to do is head back up here to He Who Remains. We picked up the ledger from the Waning Moon, so let's go to the Last Light Inn. We'll make our way back out across the bridge. I can never remember which way to go. We're going to the left. Doesn't matter which way we go here. Okay, now with He Who Remains, there's a couple of different ways this can play out. I'm going to play it out a particular way and explain the options that you need to select to get it to play out that way. But if you want to see more options for this, there are some content creators who have played out all of the options to this.
Something's on my mind.
The air stirs in trepidation. You have the ledger. We have it. Her lies, her guilt. Madeleine reported her friends to a dark justiciar and fled when they were butchered. Well, she flees no more. I will be the conduit for Madeleine's spirit. I will force her to face trial, and you will be the judge. Make her beg. Make her suffer. There is no justice for traitors, only pain. Witness.
You said I was gonna be punished. That you'd be the judge. But I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I said it didn't mean nothing. That Ben and Mark were just drunk and whining. The Dark Justiciar promised she was gonna chat with him. She promised! She gave him a dagger each and told him to press it against their stomachs on the count of 3 to start stabbing and not stop till she said so. She never said stop. I'd do anything to take it back. Anything.
Okay, now I'm going to play it out using this first one here. Now remember, He Who Remains is the conduit for Madeleine's spirit right now. So in stabbing yourself, he's going to be stabbing himself.
Like this?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Now, if you make the persuasion check here to keep going, you're going to get into combat. Because, again, you're basically forcing he who remains to kill himself, or Madeleine's spirit to kill him through her possession of him. So we're going to stop.
It hurts. God. I'm...
That was genius, my friend. You have broken her in ways I could not have imagined. Though I'd have preferred not bleeding quite so profusely. I suppose it's on me for not being more specific. But Madeleine suffered. That is all that matters. You have done well. Her pain and anguish were sublime. I will treasure it. Here. For your services. Should I find another murderer in need of torment, I shall call upon you. Farewell.
Okay, you're going to get some gold here. And you're also going to get the Raven Gloves. Summon Quoth the Raven. Now, this Quoth is the Raven that you've seen here in the background. The one who's very obviously upset. But Quoth the Raven is also a reference to an Edgar Allan Poe poem called The Raven. Quoth the Raven is a very famous line in that poem. It's a dark poem and about a person asking a raven questions about Lenore, who is his lost love. There's a lot of symbolisms in it and other things like that that make it an extraordinary poem. But yeah, this is a reference to that. Raven allows you once per long rest to summon Quoth, and the Raven asks just like any other Raven summons. So you now have the ability to get another follower, basically, whenever you would like. Now that they're all gone, we can feel free to loot the remaining things around here.
Phew.
Okay.
Intestines
And now
blood whispers.
we're going to head back to the Last Light Inn because a lot of you have been waiting for this. Okay, and there's something that we need to make sure that we have ready beforehand. And I can never remember where it is. I must have put it... I thought I left it out. Oh, there it is. Okay, we're gonna have Shadowheart equip the Strange Tendril Amulet. That's going to give her a single cast of Evard's Black Tentacles. And we're going to go inside Last Light here.
Ain't my neck of the woods. Until Jaheira gives me reason to think otherwise.
And we're going to go over and talk to Art again.
Very well.
Flame Cullugh. That's your name, isn't it? Art Cullugh? I'm Fistula.
Thaniel and me climbing up a tree.
We need you, sir. One of our own's been taken, a Grand Duke. You might know something that could help us bring him back.
We found him out in the shadows, just wandering. Nothing survives out there for long. Don't know how he made it, or where he came from.
This is no physical ailment. It is a spiritual malaise. The man's mind has been gripped by the Shadowfell, yet it has not broken.
And here we have another option. Now, we have his loot, so we're going to pull it out and play a little.
Thaniel! He's still trapped there. He needs help.
Calm. Breathe. You've been trapped in the Shadowfell for a century. Take a moment to clear your mind.
A century? You're Halsin. Thaniel said to find you. You must help him, please.
I will, but I need to know where Thaniel is. If I venture into the Shadowfell blind, I will never find him.
I'm not sure I can put it into words. The landscape there shifts and changes. Lavender. Whenever I saw Thaniel, I always smelled lavender.
I can work with that. Rest now. Meet me by the lakeshore. I have what we need to proceed, but I'll need your help. Be ready. This may prove perilous.
Okay, and Halsin is going to make his way down to the lake. Now, don't run out of here. This is another of those let's play the game of following the NPC around type things. If you get too far away from him, he will actually stop and he won't head down there. So kind of just stay around with him so he's still in render distance.
It's so dark.
Because this is where we're going. Over here.
Well, at least there are still flowers here.
Okay, now there are a bunch of different ways to play this. And Lord Henry asked a question about spirit guardians here. I mean, we certainly can. I'll go ahead and change this back out to what we had. You're going to see very, very quickly that this isn't going to matter. Very few of the enemies in here are going to be able to reach me at all. Let alone do any damage to me and or the portal. So we are going to have some of the shadows who are going to be close over here, and casting spirit guardians can help with that. Again, though, the way we're going to be setting this up, it's not necessary to. It's like a third layer of preparation that we're going to throw onto this, and that's what you're going to see right now. Because I'm going to go out here and start getting prepped for what we're going to do here. And the first is look through my inventory and pick up all of the bottles of grease that we have. Okay, we've got a bunch of them. We've been storing them up for a very specific reason. And that is right here. And yeah, you're going to see here in a second, Lord Henry. So once we're here, we are going to start throwing grease bottles around here. But grease and flames do not get along well. So be sure to turn off the standing torch before you start doing this. Now the thing about grease is that grease does not have a timer. Okay, grease is going to stay on the ground until you do something to remove grease from the ground. And that makes it incredibly useful for us to be able to cover this entire area in grease. Okay. Now, Astarion does have the Eversight ring on, so he can fight in darkness.
Damn, it's good to be alive. Let's ride.
What's next? Got to press on.
Okay, Shadowheart's going to be a bit farther up here.
Let's get going.
And now my bard can also fight in darkness. Okay, and now that we're up here, I'm gonna talk to Halsin.
You're here. Good. Now we can begin. Very well. Once I begin the ritual, a portal to the Shadowfell will open, one that will help me save Thaniel. Whatever happens, I must go alone. No. This opportunity has been 100 years in the making. It has to be me. And only me. But I didn't bring you here to witness an old druid's grandstanding. You have a part to play in this, and I trust you will play it well. With the Oakfather's blessing, I can infiltrate the Shadowfell, but doing so will sap my strength. I'll need your help if I'm to return. I need you to stay here, keep the portal open until I return, and defend it at all costs. Good. Now it's important that only I pass through the portal once it opens. The magic is fragile. Any mistake, and our one chance will be lost forever. It took me years of study, of seeking the Oakfather's favor, to find a way to part the veil. Pray that this works. Oakfather, hear me. Aid me. Force open the jaws of darkness. Make passage for your vessel of light. It's ready. I'll return with Thaniel as soon as possible. Stay close to the portal. Buy me what time you can.
Okay, so as soon as he goes through the portal here, you're going to get initiative rolls. Now, you're always going to roll at the start of this, so you don't have to go into turn-based mode or anything like that. You are always going to end up at the top. The attacks are going to come from two directions. First is over here. There are two spawn points in the bushes over here. There's a third spawn point up here at the top of this ramp. This side is what we placed all of this grease for. is to slow down attackers coming from this way. The vast majority of the attacks are going to come from here. Okay? This is going to keep them from reaching us for as long as they possibly can. The second avenue attack is going to be over here in this darkness. This darkness is going to spawn shadow creatures. Okay? And only shadows. They're going to be over here in this area. Now you're going to get additional spawns that come out of this, and we'll kind of see those as we go. So the first thing that we want to do is with Karlach, and I'm going to make sure, yeah, Astarian's up here on top.
My turn.
Is we're going to cast Evard's Black Tentacles. Now, again, this is kind of like Hunger of Hadar, so to speak, in that it can keep enemies from reaching you. Now, this is kind of redundant. This is, like I say, the third layer of preparations. The first level is grease. This is huge. This can win you the fight all on its own. The second layer is going to be darkness, which we're going to see cast here in a second. This is the third layer, and this is kind of like a fallback layer. Even if you did nothing else, the grease and the darkness are going to win this fight for you, even on honor mode. This is kind of a fail-safe, so to speak, for anybody getting close to you. The problem with this is that there isn't a really good place to put it unless you're putting it over here on this side. And grease is already covering this. So putting it down here, we certainly can. Most of the enemies are going to be somewhat immune to this, but this is where we're going to do it. We're going to put it down here in this area here, but you'll kind of see how it works and or doesn't work. Grease is going to cover our left flank. This is going to cover our center. Okay. And Evard's Black Tentacles is a surface, so it's going to remove any other surface you cast it on. So if we cast it out here, it's going to remove the grease. Now, Evard's Black Tentacles may or may not function as well as or better than grease. That's kind of up to the enemies that get hit with it. But here, I'm going to let grease do its thing over here on the left flank. I'm going to let Evard's Black Tentacles cover the center here because enemies can't approach from down here. They still have to, you can see the red, they still have to climb through Evard's Black Tentacles to get to me. And then I'm going to have two more lines of defense here. So Karlach doesn't need to be in this fight at all anymore. She can kind of stay out of it. I'm going to frenzy her. And that was stupid. Well, it doesn't matter. I forgot about that. That rage is, you can't cast or concentrate on spells while raging. I looked at it and said, this isn't concentration, but I forgot about the fact that it says right in bold letters that you can't concentrate on it. I can cast it again, but again, I'm not really too worried about it. There's something else that we can do down here in its place.
Can't even catch my
So
breath.
for me, I'm going to cast darkness, and I'm going to cast darkness up here toward the back a little bit so that I have a little strip on the front here that I can walk out of the darkness if I want to. Now this is going to do two things. The first is my Bard and Astarian can fight in darkness. So they don't have any penalties here, but if any enemies reach me, they're going to be blinded. The second thing it does is that enemies who have spawned down here, the Shadow Cursed Harpers, are ranged attackers. And they will shoot at the portal. The portal has 71 hit points, and they will try and destroy it. So this keeps them from launching ranged attacks at the portal. Okay, they're going to have to come up here and engage in melee now, and that's something that they're not going to be very good at.
What should I do?
Shadowheart, I'm going to move back a little bit and kind of get everybody a little better positioned for this.
Can't afford to let up.
Because I need to move back into the darkness a little bit more than where I am right now.
Let's spill some blood.
They're dying for me. All of them.
Okay, and now Shadowheart can cast Spirit Guardians here. And this is kind of the makeup. Since we messed up Evard's Black Tentacles, we can recast it. We have a scroll of it. But we can cast Spirit Guardians on Shadowheart. So now anybody who makes it into the darkness is also going to be taking damage because of it while they're here, and again, especially damaging to the shadows, but they don't normally last very long anyway, and you'll kind of see that as we go through this.
Come on, can't stay idle.
So for me, we have a few things that, you know, we can do here. Shadows, again, are immune to necrotic damage. So casting Hex on them isn't going to do anything. But again, we have darkness here that we're concentrating on. We're doing it with her because of her high armor class, so she can avoid being hit and losing her concentration. So for now, this is where we're going to end her turn.
Turn someone inside out.
And then Astarion is free to make whatever attacks he wants out of this. And again, this is probably a time when you shouldn't skimp on your items that you have. And as such, we're going to go with arrows of many targets here. And get rid of one shadow entirely. And now you see what Grease does. If you fail your saving throw on Grease, you're going to get knocked prone, and it's going to end your turn. Just ends your turn. You're done. So since they all have to move first, they move 5 meters, 3 meters, 2 meters, maybe even only 1 meter, fail their saving throw, fall, their turn's over. Okay. So that's how things are going to go for them for the remainder of this. So for us, we're going to go ahead and start getting some attacks in here on the Wraith and on the other shadow enemies that are going to be approaching us. Them and the shadow creepers, which spawn, are going to be the only things that really are a threat to us throughout most of this. And I'm going to throw a defensive flourish here. Up my armor class. Okay, left with 1 hit point. Can flourish and just get rid of the Wraith. That would be nice. Perfect.
Let's finish this.
Shadowheart doesn't have to do anything here, but she can. What you need to be careful of is, remember, we have Grease on the ground. So don't, if you're throwing out flame strikes and that sort of stuff, don't throw it on the grease. You want the grease to stay there and not catch fire. And this is why we respect her with her Sacred Flame cantrip as well. So we can move her just outside of this. Again, cause some more damage there. We can throw out Sacred Flame. Okay, saved. And now we can move back into her position.
Let's go.
Okay, so Karlach can do the same type of thing.
In position.
Can move out. Needs to move out a little bit more.
This'll help.
And then move her back in. Starian can again make his attacks out here, and I normally try and focus a little bit over here, and this is why I removed, oh, and I forgot to remove those. That's going to cost his action. You don't want any fire attacks happening. So my Bard is not going to be making any ranged attacks out here. And Astarion, you don't want him... Well, I guess I didn't have to remove those because those are unarmed attacks. So his ranged attacks I could have left. So again, another mistake on my part. But you don't want to be causing any fire damage out here because if you do, it's going to light all this on fire and you don't want that. So now we have a couple of shadows still left over here, and I'm going to kind of focus on them. They are not going to want to enter into this area up here, but I can work on them. Okay, so that Wraith is frightened, can't move. Okay, Shadowheart. Let me look at her movement. Yeah, I don't want to move out there any farther than that. Let's try and handle the Wraith here.
To do it.
Okay, hopefully we can get rid of the Wraith here on this turn. Or Perfect. And now I can again start working on other people. And I'm not worried about the ones that only have 2 hit points. Okay, now we're Starian.
On my way.
And this is why you can see, Lord Henry, why the Evard's Black Tentacles is certainly great, but it is like a 3rd or 4th line of defense. Now, with that much health, again, what you're relying on is the fact that most of these enemies are never going to make it to you before the timer runs out. However, with that much health, you might have to kill some of them to keep them from getting to you. So in that case, putting Evard's kind of down here to cover kind of this corner and letting go of Grease might be more useful. And again, you can see the shadows are not going to be very willing to come up into this area, into the darkness. Okay, now you're going to see that we have some Githyanki out here. Now, the Githyanki normally have a higher dex with a +2 bonus to dexterity. So focusing them is something that you probably want to do during this. However, again, for me and my bard, remember, I'm not going to be, because I do have the Helldust gloves on. This is for weapon attacks. It does not apply to Eldritch Blast, though. And that just keeps pushing people back. Shadowheart, we can move out here. Gotta get rid of that shadow. We can throw out a cantrip here. So if anybody does get close to us, they've got radiating orb stacks to overcome. I just don't expect any of them to even reach us, honestly.
Now this is my happy place. Soldier. Good idea, Cullugh.
It must have been quite a view before the curse.
And again, not really worried about the ones that only have 2 hit points. They're like the ravens that just came up on us. They're gonna die as soon as they get close.
Go for the throat. This way.
Everyone always says grease bottles are useless. Why do you pick them up? Now you see why I pick them up. Rinse and repeat.
Heading out.
And last is Astarion. And last round coming up. Brighton's incredibly useful because they can't move.
It's done. I have him. But something's wrong. Dreadfully wrong. No. It can't be. No. But some part of him is missing. He's hollow. I need to examine him back at the camp. Come see us when you can.
All right. And then all of those people that were out there that you did not actually kill, you got experience for it. Okay? So you don't have to physically kill any of them. I could have sat there inside my darkness and just ended my turn over and over and over again and not killed anybody. And I would have gotten full experience for killing all of them. Okay? So grease bottles here are an easy button for this encounter. Covering the entire area from the bottom of the ramp all the way down to the rocks is going to win this encounter for you. The shadows that come in over here, again, once you cast darkness, the shadows who spawn after that first wave don't want to come up here and enter the darkness. Okay, the ones who are already here when you cast it the first time, they will try and enter the darkness. The others that spawn afterward won't. So again, this is, even on honor mode, there are ways to cheese this to make it incredibly easy. I don't think you need anything more than this and darkness, throwing either the Evard's Black Tentacles or Hunger of Hadar, as Lord Henry mentions, out front, or using Spirit Guardians here are just bonuses on top of that, in my opinion. I don't think that you need any of them to complete that.
Don't touch me.
So, next thing we're going to do is get rid of grease. Okay, we're going to let that burn out. And then I'm going to hold left alt. There's a lot of dead enemies out here. The Flaming Fist, the Zealots, and the Githyanki Warriors all have huge amounts of weapons and armor on them. So again, off stream, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to loot all of these, put all of that stuff into trash bags and get it ready to sell next week. Okay? But for now, we will head back in to the light, and if we look at our quest line, we need to talk to Halsin. Now, Halsin is no longer here in the Last Light Inn. And he's here.
I need a quick word.
Thaniel is resting, but it's no easy slumber. I discovered what's wrong with him. The shadows rendered him in two when they bore him away to the Shadowfell. Half of his essence remained here, amidst the curse. What stayed behind would have been the strongest part of him. But after all these years left in the darkness, corruption must have taken hold. It's both simple and not. We need to find Thaniel's missing half and make him whole again. Only the missing half may not come willingly. The curse will have sunk its tendrils deep, twisting Thaniel's essence into something else. No matter how it's been twisted by the shadows, it is still part of Thaniel's essence. It will resemble him somehow and may show signs of his power. Look for signs of life in the darkness, wildflowers where everything else is dead. The curse cannot subdue the power Thaniel bears. Not entirely.
In fact, I saw just the sort before, not long after we first came within reach of the shadow curse. Fool that I am, I did not grasp their significance at the time. There is a ruin some way outside of Last Light. I caught a glimpse of fresh blooms there, but did not investigate further. I shall mark it upon your map.
This doesn't have to be your burden alone. Every moment counts, and I've asked much of you already without being at your side. If you want me, I'm yours. Against the curse, against the absolute. Anything. Just say the word. You are blessed with several companions as it is. Perhaps dismiss one if you require me. I'm with you.
Okay, and this allows you to have Halsin now as a full companion. Now, there is a build for Halsin that I'm interested in pursuing. I wasn't planning to do it today, but so I didn't take any notes on it. But you know, I wonder if I can remember enough of it. Let me pull up some notes here, because I've never had Halsin with me during this encounter. And it might be interesting to have him with me, but I need to look at something here real quick. So I apologize. Okay, so I can do that. And sorry, I'm just looking for if the subclass is going to matter. Don't think it is. No, it's not. Sorry, I'm just looking just to make sure. Okay, so let's actually level Halsin up.
Speak to me.
Okay, so he's already a level 1 druid, and we're going to throw in a multi-class here to start, and that is with cleric. We need to take some levels of cleric here for this to function the way that I want it to function. As far as the domain here, it doesn't matter what we're going to do. We might as well take the light domain. For skills, none of that matters. And again, the only thing that we want to make sure that we have prepared here is Sanctuary. Now we're going to switch back to our druid for the remainder of this. So for the subclass, again, this doesn't matter. I would be going either with Circle of Moon or Circle of the Spores for the most part. A Spore druid is incredibly powerful in the end game. But for this, again, I don't think it matters in how I'm going to be playing this out. So just going to pick some things here and see what we have available to us. So yeah, the healing can be fine for him. Okay, so Druid level 3 is going to get us what we want to make this early game build work, and that's the spell Moonbeam. So Circle of the Land, what this is going to do is we're going to gain certain spells here based upon which one we choose. And the spell list is on the wiki. You can go take a look at it. However, for this, I think I'm going to pick Arctic. That's going to get me Hold Person and Spike Growth. I'm going to make sure that I have Moonbeam equipped. Level 4 Druid's going to get me my first feat. I'm going to choose Alert. Now, how you would normally play this out toward endgame is you can throw in a couple of levels of Sorcerer to get Quicken Spell or Extend Spell to make this even more damaging as you go here. So now Swamp, yeah, is going to get me Stinking Cloud and Vampiric Touch. Again, nothing else in particular that I want to do here. Moonbeam's going to be my concentration spell. So anything else that I pick here needs to be non-concentration as I go through this. Druid level 6, we get difficult terrain no longer slows us down, which is always nice. We gain the Owlbear Wild Shape, which is really, really good. Nothing else that we want to change over here. Druid level 7, we're going to get our 4th level spells. And again here, Swamp is now giving us Blight and Grasping Vine. Blight is always really, really nice to have. Wall of Fire is really nice that he's got it, but we're going to deal with that another way, I believe. We're going to keep that here just in case. Okay, for my second feat here, it's going to get my wisdom up to 18. Okay, now as for the rest of his gear and everything, I don't care.
Looking ahead.
Okay, so now we're gonna leave camp. So let's head out to the house in Deep Shadows. So we're gonna head to the Shadow Battlefield. It's behind me. It's been a while since I saved. Let's take a short rest.
Welcome rest. Gods are watching me.
We'll talk to Oliver again.
Not back to gloat, are you? Nobody likes a bad winner.
Though shrouded in shadows, the child's resemblance to Thaniel is unmistakable. This must be his dark half, warped by the curse.
I still think you might have tricked me. If you did, I'll figure it out.
Okay, and now you have additional dialogue option here.
Spoil sport. I'm not going back. I like it here. I've made a family for myself. I get to play all the time. Yes, I do. You can't make me do anything. I don't want to play with you anymore.
That little bastard. Where'd he go?
Okay, and this is going to open up a portal. Now you need to make sure that before you walk through this portal, you've cleared out the town square of Reithwin, because that's where you're going to end up. You don't need to make this fight any more difficult than it already is. So we're going to head through the shadow portal here.
Let's see.
And we're immediately going to be dropped into combat. Okay. Now this combat is special in that Oliver is surrounded by a shield, the Night Dome. Your goal is not to attack Oliver. Okay, that's not your goal here. Your goal here is to kill his summons. The more summons you kill, the more hit points get taken off of the Night Dome. If the Night Dome drops to 0 hit points, then a cutscene will play and the encounter will end. And Oliver's going to continue to summon playmates, quote unquote, throughout this. Now, we've seen some of them before. Mummy and Daddy we've seen before when we played hide and seek. You're going to see some others. If you examine Oliver, Oliver has a legendary action. Okay? So, once per round, Oliver can summon or spend a legendary action to summon the Wasting Quiet in an area after a summoned shadow is slain. The Wasting Quiet is a silence spell version of something like Hunger of Hadar, where there's an area where you're going to be silenced in it, and you're going to take 3d8 necrotic damage every time you cross the boundary or start your turn inside of it. Okay, so this can make things a little difficult because you're not going to necessarily be able to play in darkness all the time, because he can summon the Wasting Quiet on top of you. You're going to need to be able to move around a little bit while you're doing this. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is... Oh, jeez, all of my scrolls are on Shadowheart. Okay, alright, yep. Make things harder than it needs to be. Well done, Jorval. Appreciate it.
No choice but to keep going.
When I removed her from the party, I did not move any of the... I didn't move the spell book off of her. So, things are going to get sporty down here. Again, I don't think I'm too worried about it, necessarily. But things are going to get a little interesting down here. So, I want to start this off with Slashing Flourished Ranged. Okay, they both saved against it. Okay, so I got one of them frightened. So let's focus on Daddy here for the remainder of this.
Gods, it's hot in here.
Now, they are immune to poison damage as well.
That's it.
And I'm going to move back a little bit.
Oh, Father, harden my heart.
Now, Halsin has kind of a very special methodology here of what he's going to do. The first thing he's going to do is he's going to cast Moonbeam. Now, Moonbeam, you can upcast it for an additional 1d10 radiant damage per level. So this is going to be 5d10 radiant damage. That's kind of a waste. There, so we will cast it here. And now with his bonus action, he's going to cast Sanctuary on himself. And he's just going to move over here.
I must reach there.
Okay, nobody's going to attack him. But on his next turn, he can move the Moonbeam around again. Causing damage with Moonbeam does not break Sanctuary. So he can just move that 5d10 radiant damage every turn around the battlefield and be relatively safe. Now, AoE spells, such as the AoE spell that Oliver can use with his legendary action when one of his summons dies, can still damage him. Okay, see, that's why I'm kind of moving him out of the way a little bit. Okay, for the Starian. Now, all of his shadow friends have very, very low hit points. Okay, and there's the vengeance that he casts. Okay. And she's in it. So she's going to take some damage next turn. And that was a mistake with the Arrow of Many Targets because it targeted the Night Dome. So I took Cursed Vengeance as a hit. I need to be careful with that. You don't want to attack the Night Dome directly because you're going to get this Cursed Vengeance. So any damage done against Oliver will be reflected twofold at the attacker. So that's why I took so much damage there. So I need to be careful with that and not use the Arrows of Many Targets. Let's get rid of Daddy here. And you see, that took 60 hit points off the Night Dome. Okay. We're gonna definitely move out of this, but first... let's trigger his legendary action again. Okay, there it is. Now I'm gonna move out of it. On the way, I'll take care of this one. Okay, so Karlach's gonna move out of quiet.
Handy.
She's not in the Wasting Quiet anymore. She can't cast spells not because of the Wasting Quiet, but because she's frenzied.
Nature shall be defended at any cost.
Okay, so again, I could move Moonbeam around, but there's nobody to attack it with.
You want to play? Let me show you my favorite toy.
Okay, we definitely made a mistake with Astarion there.
Over here.
So, we are going to... Again, we can now probably use the Arrows of Many Targets. Should just hit these three and not the dome. And it hit the dome again.
You'll be sorry.
What did she hit me with? Roll a 19. Okay, and then again, because of that tactician difficulty +2 modifier, able to hit. Okay, so... let's trigger... no. Let's trigger the Wasting Quiet again. Here. There it is. We'll move out of it. Okay.
Shield your servant.
Halsin is going to cast Healing Word on Astarion. Okay, That's his bonus action, so now he can move Moonbeam around. Are they just perfectly positioned on either side of this thing? Looks like it.
Blood comes easy these days.
Why are you doing this? All I want to do is play.
What just happened there? What just happened there? What is happening? Oh, jeez, that's stupid. Okay, alright, yep. I get it. I get it. Okay, slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Take a breath. Slow down. Don't rush into this. Moonbeam is one of those AoE spells that does not discriminate. So if you walk into it, and it's somewhat difficult to notice that it's there. It's just a light patch on the ground, which looks like any other light patch. So I walked into it, and Halsin killed me. Didn't kill me, but I'm gonna have to wait to get her up until the next turn, when Halsin can move the Moonbeam off of her and go from there. The question is whether or not I'm gonna survive that long. Because of the Shadow Friends going to attack me. So we will kind of see how this goes here. Okay, so good. Oh, jeez. Okay. So...
Let our enemy's corpses nourish the ground.
Let's get Halsin to move the Moonbeam. I think I already triggered his Vengeful Playmate. I did. So this turn's already done. Or is it? That's a good question. I think that might have been the last turn. That was the last turn. No, it can't be, because I'd already used it last turn. I don't know if he's used it or not.
I'm heating up.
As such, we're going to kind of play defense here. On this.
Easy out.
Okay, so did use it, which was good. So now it's gone. So now let's get Halsin to move the Moonbeam, and we're just going to move it right out here in front. And with bonus action,
Well,
get my Bard up, and we'll move back out of the way. My bonus action. I'll heal myself up.
Put him up.
Let us see the battle won.
And this should be the last round of them. So again, I'm going to have to deal with one more cast of okay. So good. That knocked me invisible, but I don't really care. Actually, I do care. Let's move Astarion back. Leave him in invisibility. He isn't. This fight, it's tricky, but it's not all that difficult. Honestly, this is just me making mistakes. Normally what you would do is you cast Wall of Fire right across this choke point right here. They can't maneuver around this way, so you cast Wall of Fire right across here. That means all of the little shadow friends that run in here run into the Wall of Fire and they die. When they die to Wall of Fire, that does not trigger Oliver's legendary action. Okay? They just die from it. So hopefully he uses that up before, but if he doesn't, you can manage the placements of these, you know, pretty easily. Then everybody's safe behind Wall of Fire and you can just ranged take down everybody else. This is the first time I'm playing this, like I said. I hadn't planned on putting Halsin in this encounter. It's the first time I've played using this Sanctuary Moonbeam setup, and I just made a mistake. I just wasn't used to it, and didn't have it ready, or didn't, you know, think out fully how it plays, and that was just a mistake on my part. So I'm the one that's making this difficult here. But we're gonna cast Moonbeam right here.
Why couldn't you just leave me alone? Why can't I just stay here playing? I had everything I've ever wanted, right here! And you've ruined it. I'm not leaving. You can't make me.
Be gentle. He's much more than a child. But he doesn't truly know that.
He's nothing to me. He left me here all this time. I had to do everything for myself. Even when it was scary, even when I was alone. I didn't give up. But would he even want me back? I've changed. A lot. So I wouldn't have to make up friends to play with anymore. I'd have someone real. I'd like that. And he would too, I think. All right, I'll do it. I want to do it.
Well done.
Are you crying? You're a bit big to be crying. But I suppose that's okay. Bye. And thank you for playing with me.
It's done, at last. Soon the land will be unshrouded. We should return to Thaniel when we can.
Okay, and
What comes
before
next?
anybody else steps into it, I'm going to remove Moonbeam. So, the thing about that Druid Cleric build, you have to have access to Guidance, and you have to have, or Sanctuary, and you have to have access to Moonbeam. Everything else that you do with the build is up to you, and that's why a lot of times what you can do is splash Sorcerer, so that you can use your meta magic to be able to cast Extend spell on either Moonbeam or Sanctuary or both, so that you can extend this to 20 turns. So Moonbeam, you can move it around for 20 turns, and Sanctuary will last for 20 turns. And then you can just stick him in a corner. And as long as he's within range of Moonbeam, which is 18 meters, a really long way, he can move that thing around all day long and never take any damage, never lose any concentration. And it's an easy way to cause some really big damage really early on in the game at this point. And especially in Act 2 here, where radiant damage is so important, Halsin can become a very valuable member of the party. So if you're doing this, here's how I would normally play Act 2. I would come in here, I would rush the first things that we've already done when we came into Act 2, which was going to Moonrise, making sure that we've rescued Minthara, rushing the Last Light Inn, make sure that we have taken care of getting this quest line started, and then going and rushing to the House of Healing and convincing Malice to kill himself so that you can pick up the loot right off the bat. Then you can come back here and recruit Halsin, and you have already recruited Minthara to be full members of your party, and you can use them to complete the rest of Act 2. Now, Shadowheart needs to be with you during the Shadowfell. She doesn't, and the Trials of Shar is useful for her to be with you, but she doesn't have to be with you through anything but the Shadowfell. So you can utilize the Divine Smites from Minthara and this Moonbeam play here from Halsin all the way through Act 2. And this is an incredibly useful set of radiant damage, high radiant damage stuff to be used in, like I say, what I consider the first half of the game. Act 3, on the other hand, not that they aren't useful, but you need to then start thinking about changing to a Spore Druid and playing that Druid differently to be able to make them more viable in the end game. But early game, incredibly strong. Yes, as Lord Henry has mentioned here, especially in Act 2, in early game here, the Druid is very, very strong. You just need to make some changes in your playstyle and your build to make him more viable the later on you get into Act 3. But for right now, incredibly useful. Getting him into your party as soon as you can is very, very useful on Act 2. We've chosen to go a slightly different way by focusing more on Karlach and the throwing build, which we hadn't seen before, and Astarion and the unarmed monk build, which we hadn't seen before. But replacing those two with Halsin and Minthara is a very, very potent combination here in Act 2 especially. We're going to be seeing a lot more of Minthara here as we get toward the end of Act 2 here. Just not right now. And then in Act 3, Karlach is going to be dropped out of our party, and Minthara is going to be a constant member of our party in Act 3. Okay, but I did want to have him along. I hadn't seen the additional dialogue options that go along with this, so it was good to be able to catch that up and see his interactions here. But we are going to go back to camp now. And we can talk to Halsin.
Oakfather preserve you.
Okay, so nothing, whoops, here yet. He's got a quest marker around him. Let's see if he's going to go back to Thaniel back here. Because Thaniel's down here.
Can't slow down.
And we're definitely going to take that short rest. We're probably going to take another one.
The druid Halsin spoke to me while I was sleeping. He spoke of you. Said that you fought shadow and spite to restore me. 100 years of sickness almost ended. I feel every root that riddles the earth beginning to unfold. But there is one anchor, still holding the shadows in place. The soul that brought it into being, for the land to heal. Ketheric Thorm must die. Ketheric's soul still nourishes the shadows. Destroy him, so the land may heal. So that I may heal.
Okay. So, the final thing for lifting the Shadow Curse is Ketheric Thorm. We need to kill Ketheric Thorm. Not a surprise. That's, you know, on our bucket list to do here. Let's go see. There's a conversation with Halsin here. Yeah, it's not. I was just making sure. It was acting a little strange since I came into the camp with him as the selected character.
Oakfather preserve you.
Okay. Let's see. Nothing else here. Actually, we have some conversations with him since it's the first time we're meeting him.
Only by reputation. She was present when we marched against Ketheric Thorm, but on the far end of the battle lines from where I fought. And in the chaos that ensued, well, our forces were scattered. I led some to safety, but never learned of her fate. I'm glad to hear she survived. Though in truth, I should not be surprised. She was always said to be formidable and cunning. I could have learned much from her, no doubt. There is much to admire, judging by the stories. I cannot help but wonder how she would have handled some of the challenges I faced as Archdruid. Defended the Grove, Korga, the Shadow Druids. At least now we can benefit from her presence, and perhaps work to a common goal. Honestly, I never thought I'd make it that far. But the Absolute is a threat to all, and I promised I'd help you with your parasite. So, I'll remain with you. If you'll have me, that is. So do I. But one duty at a time. I've been unfair to you. I've had unrealistic expectations of your character ever since I joined you. But honestly, you've surpassed even those. Seems my faith was more than well-founded. Druids and Harpers joined together to put a stop to Ketheric Thorm. We marched on Moonrise, and after much fighting, we prevailed. Even in defeat, though, Ketheric turned to Shah. Not long after we sealed him away in his tomb, the Shadow Curse took hold. No one had seen the likes of it before. No one knew how to react. Then it started to claim all those within its reach. Those who had survived the battles now fell to the shadows, became part of the shadows. And worst of all, I lost contact with Thaniel. I wanted to try and find him, but we couldn't stay. We would have all succumbed. When the Archdruid of the Grove, my predecessor, was seized by the curse, I had to lead the survivors to safety. That was my first day as Archdruid. An inauspicious beginning. You are right, but I must not lose focus until everything has been put right. I've wasted too much time already. Years in which nature has suffered. It's true, and I can't imagine I helped with that. Sometimes I let the task at hand consume me, and people think I'm obsessed. Trust me, the day I no longer have to talk about the Shadow Curse will be a happy one. What would you like to know? Trust me, it's been said. You show more restraint than most in avoiding the subject until now. Who's to say? Perhaps there's a half-orc buried somewhere in my ancestry. Or perhaps not. Sometimes I think conventional wisdom is too narrow about what someone can or cannot be. Stranger things have most certainly happened. I had a friend when I was young, long ago. He played with me in the forests where I grew up. But eventually, I realized no one else had heard of him. It was Thaniel, of course. Nature was my very first friend. I get older, but he hasn't changed a day. I knew then that I had to be more than a companion to him. I had to be a protector. You're not a doppelganger, are you? Trying to study me to learn all my secrets so you can take my place? Save for me, my line perished a long time ago. They rest in high forest now, near the shade of the grandfather tree. The grove became my family, with Sylvanus as my teacher. And now I have you. It was a long time ago. The wounds don't heal, but they become more bearable. I suppose you wouldn't be shocked to learn I love animals and nature? I know. Well-trodden territory. Well then, let's see. I whittle in my spare time, and I've something of a sweet tooth. Although everyone's very amused when I say I like honey. I like what I like. Once you get to my age, you realize there's little point in denying yourself, so long as others aren't affected. Ornaments, utensils, and ducks. I like ducks. 350 years young. I've been privileged to watch saplings grow into mighty boughs. Thank me by returning the favor, why don't you? Come on. I'm sure you've something better than carving wooden ducks. Well, they are fierce creatures from what I understand. But as long as you avoid the high seas, I think you can consider yourself safe. Anytime.
Okay, so just getting to learn a little more about Halsin, since it is the first time that we're encountering him. So let's go back, and we're going to bring Shadowheart back into the group. Thara's back here, right? Yes. There she is.
These lands may not be under the thrall of Lady Shah for much longer. A necessary sacrifice so that I can press onwards. The Dark Lady will understand, surely. It seems like you have ample company already. Lead the way, then.
Okay, so let's go have... Actually, no, we'll wait and hold off. We're gonna take, well, it's probably a good idea. That we... Yes, because we finished Punish the Wicked, we've advanced everything as far as we can go through all of these. Oh, we haven't talked to Arabella yet. Now, talking to Arabella the first time after you found her parents, You can do it with anybody.
Hey, where's Mum and Pops? No. No. I don't believe you. They'd never leave me. They promised. Get away from me. Go!
Okay, so you've talked to
Leave me alone.
Arabella, and she's not interested in talking anymore about it. Okay, now that's going to change once she's had a little time. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to leave camp. The reason I didn't have any of the other conversations is because we're going to go have one more fight here before the end of the live stream. And I definitely want to be full strength here. And actually, you know what? I might want to approach this in this way. We're gonna go clear out the docks. Okay, we can go do that without any fear of reprisals from inside Moonrise Towers. We want to use up the last of our action economy here, and then we want to take a long rest. Because we're going to be heading into the Grand Mausoleum. And we want to be
just out of view.
Fully action economy empowered when we go in at that time. So I'm going to jump across here, and I'm going to go get into a fight. Actually, I don't want to get into a fight there. Come on, come on, come on. I want to get into a fight here. So I don't need a defensive flourish on the first attack. And, you know, I might as well throw Luck of the Far Realms in here.
Violence isn't tolerated in these parts, unless it's required to deal with a criminal like you.
Okay, and sure, I'll throw the paralyzing critical on top of that. Now, these two are way down here. Okay, so I have a little bit of time to take care of Zealot Renan here. But I don't want to get the Hunger of Hadar cast on me down here either. I've learned that lesson before. Now what? We're going to bring Astarion up. And we should be able to take a good percentage of these hit points off right here. Okay. Didn't land that as a crit. Okay, but applied sneak attack there. Okay, now he's invisible, so he can just move back out of the way. Oh, we left combat. Nice.
Time for discretion.
I like it.
Father, they will die for you.
Okay, so I don't think that they remain angry after that, but honestly, I can't remember. Let's just sneak our way up here until we can see them. Yeah, they don't.
They should all be running.
Okay, so we're going to move all the way over here.
Violence isn't tolerated in these parts, unless it's required to deal with a criminal like you.
Okay, so now let's see where the detection cones are here.
Nice and easy.
This is why I attacked from this side, is so that Adept Bell's back would be to me. And we'll try and stun. Okay, saved. Not a big deal. Death ward. Okay.
Keep a blade close.
Must lug my guts through this hell. Time to press ahead.
Combat ends and we move on to the next one. Now we should have 2 enemies left. And in this one, you're going to be in a fight. I don't think you can separate these 2 enough here, but we'll see. Okay, so we turned. Okay, but he's still good. So now the question is, can I get down there with anybody else? The detection cone for this, for the acolyte here, I think is going to keep me from getting down there. Yes. So I'm going to have to eliminate the acolyte. And I think I would prefer to do that.
I'm nothing.
Oops, not that way. If I can, with Karlach. But I don't think it matters either way. The Wasting Quiet's got a bug in it, it looks like. And that the status effect dialogue box seems to be a little broken. Oh, he turned toward Astarion. Oh, okay. So, this is interesting. I don't know how close I'm going to be able to get before it draws me into the combat here.
One step at a time.
Let me see if I can get around behind the acolyte without getting into combat. Okay, I can.
Violence isn't tolerated in these parts, unless it's required to deal with a criminal like you.
Perfect. Now I can get everybody. Oh, I can even move all the way. Look at that movement. Monk. It's so stupid. I mean, seriously. Look at that movement. That's crazy. Oh, wow. "17 meters of movement range." That's crazy. Okay. Well, yeah, let's get up here. I didn't expect to be able to make attacks on him with the Starian, but I get all of my action economy back after that, so... Oh, he's not in combat, that's why. Oh, okay, I was like, that is not possible. There's no way I can move that way across, that far across the map. When he killed the acolyte, it dropped him back out of combat. That's what happened. I was like, there's no way Astarian can move that far.
Radio note.
But I was able to separate them enough. I wasn't able to do that in my testing. To separate them enough that it's two separate combat encounters.
Stay low.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Well, now this guy's just dead. Because I'm going to get... everybody involved here. So the problem with him is he's probably going to have... Oh, he doesn't have any bonuses to wisdom, but his constitution is probably going to be pretty high. Yep, he's got a +3 to his constitution saving throws to avoid being stunned. So let's keep throwing the damage here instead. Oh, thank you. Jeez, you're gonna hit him? And now Karlak can come in and throw
Light as air.
at him. And we should be able to end this. I want to kind of line myself right here.
This'll help.
There you go. So Shadowheart's still over here.
Onward.
All right. What now? Moving
Okay,
ahead.
so again, back here on the docks and with the enemies that we just killed, a lot of stuff to loot. And I'm going to take care of all of that off stream with one exception. Because we are going to be getting ready to take a long rest. So we're going to... shapeshift. We're going to Cast enhance ability on intelligence.
What's next?
We're gonna have Shadowheart cast guidance on us.
Nothing hurts anymore.
And we're gonna go up here and we're gonna interact with this crate.
Seems simple enough.
Nope.
A
I forgot
wave
something.
of sick familiarity radiates from one barrel amidst the cargo. Tadpoles, sleeping and scarcely aware, but echoing yours 100-fold.
There's so many. Enough for an army of mindless slaves.
Okay, I'm gonna leave the warped headband of intellect. And now we'll interact with it.
Tadpole squirms and feels a legion of echoes in response.
Okay, because there's an intelligence check here. Okay, it's 14. Oh, rolled it out right.
A pattern of blank minds newly born. They carry only a bare shred of memory, inherited from something older. A sleep of centuries. The birth and destruction of a settlement above forming only background noise to the dream, until something descended down into the darkness, and the dreamer awoke.
It's not too late to stop the cult from using these things. Now's our chance to change them or fry them.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to interact with them. We've got 3 tadpoles now.
The vat is
Whoops.
still
Sorry.
placid.
We're going to pick it up. And now we have 5. Okay. So now you can do whatever you want with it. But that got us a couple of extra tadpoles. So here's what's going to happen off stream. This entire area back here, I'm gonna loot. I'm gonna pick up all of the trash in here, all the way down and around, all throughout the docks. I'm going to head back to the Last Light Inn, and I'm gonna loot all of the dead bodies down by where the portal was. And I'm going to head back to the basement of the Tollhouse, and I'm going to loot that. When we come back next week, we're going to sell off all of that. We are going to pick up any last items that we want to buy, because we have a lot of gold right now, but again, we're going to need a lot of that gold when we get into Act 3. So don't go on a spending splurge here in Act 2 just because you have the gold. We're going to have more items in Act 3 that we want to buy, so saving it up is not necessarily a bad thing. And then after we've geared up, done our last bit of things that we want to in there, we are going to head into the Grand Mausoleum. And that is the last location that we're going to have with a quest marker on it. And there are a couple of quests in here, as well as advancing Shadowheart's companion quest. Now, this quest in here, Shadowheart's personal quest line, and how that plays out at the very end of it, is going to tie in with the Dark Urge quest line that we have to either kill Isabel or kill our love interest. Okay, and right now that love interest is Shadowheart. So we're going to experiment. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm doing it in testing yet, but I think that there's a way to make everything play out how we want it to play out as a Dark Urge, kind of like we did with Alfira. There's a very specific set of steps, and I need to go through it all and do it in a very specific order and see if it's going to work. But hopefully it will, and we can figure out how we want to do this. We know what happens when we kill Isabel. The last light gets destroyed, all the tieflings die, etc., etc., etc. But I think we have some ways around that. We're going to experiment with that. So next week, we're going to sell off some stuff, check our gold, buy any last minute items, and head into the Grand Mausoleum, into the Gauntlet of Shar. And there's a bunch of things to do down there, and it's a lot of interesting stuff for us to take a look at. So I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting thing to do. Off stream, I'm going to go do a bunch of looting. I'm also going to go into the House of Healing, and I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff from, actually I think she's here. I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff of Karabasan's gifts or poisons from the vendor here, and kind of get stocked up and ready for what we're going to do for the remainder of Act 2 and the start of Act 3. So, as always, thank you all for being here. As I mentioned in my admin notes, pay attention to the community tab and my social media this week as we start to have some discussions about channel memberships and that sort of stuff. I would love to get input from all of you about it as well. So, as always, without your support, none of this would be possible. This is Commander Jorval saying, until next time, fare thee well.